Okay, we got some great text field stuff going on last couple episodes. Now what I want to do is, well, we'll show you what I want to do. I like our text field. It highlights whenever we click on it. We can add stuff to it. We can take stuff away. But what I want to do is I want to see where my stuff is going to be inserted or put. And right now it's going to be at the end of the string. But I want to see a little feedback there. I want a cursor to appear whenever we click this. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go into TextField and we're going to create a little cursor. Now, the cursor, I'm just going to call it cursor up here. I'm going to make this a local because this is really just going to be what does the cursor look like, and I'm going to have it as the pipe character. You can change that. You can make it to whatever you want, and that's just going to be what we'll show initially whenever we turn this on. Now, something else we're going to want to do is whenever this cursor is there and we add something else to the string, we want to remove that cursor, and then we want to add the thing or the character that we typed onto the string, and then add the cursor back onto the end of the string. But whenever this text field loses focus, we want to remove that cursor so that we don't count it as any type of input. And so when we lose focus here, we will want to definitely remove it. So we'll want to remove cursor from our string. So we will need to do that. And I'll show you how. Let's go ahead and sort of block that out. We'll need, instead of setting this here, we're going to set it down here because we're going to need to actually look at this previous value. So what we want to do is we want to say if not focus. So the new state here is not focus, and it was focused. So then that's when we want to do this. Okay, so now we have our little to-do, and we can do that here in a little bit. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. Okay. Now, looking at this, where we do the backspace stuff and we remove that last character from the string, I want to pull this stuff out and make it a function all by itself because we're going to be using that too. So let's make a function called remove in characters, and we'll have it take a number. So that will be function text field remove in characters and the number of characters we want to remove. And then I'm going to paste that stuff in here like this. And I'll do a quick reformat. They're much nicer. So now instead of getting that last character, the offset to the last character, we're going to get num characters. So if it's 1, then it'll be that, it'll exclude that last character. If it's 2, it'll exclude the last 2 characters, etc. And then we'll just do a string substitute, and then we'll just chop off the end like we were before. But now we'll be able to do any number of characters that we want. So that'll be great. Okay. Now something else that we want to do here is when we're focused, we're going to want to say self.text equals self.text, and then we want to append the cursor. And now here we can also take off the cursor only whenever the focus goes away and we previously had focus. So we can say we can actually say self.remove in characters. Where did it go? Remove in characters. And we just want to remove that last character. Now let's run this and I'll show you what it looks like real quick. So see, when we pull get focus, you see the little cursor appears. When we let go of focus, it goes away. And of course right now it's not moving with us. But we can make that happen, ladies and gentlemen, totally. So we go back to here on text input, and all we want to do is we want to grab this where we chuck off the character, or we chop off that end character, And when we input a new character onto the end, we want to remove that cursor first, and then we want to add that character to the end, and then we want to put our cursor on the end. Let's check that out, see if that works like I'm thinking it should. Okay, so we'll put a P, and you see how so the cursor stays at the end. Exactly what we want, but we do still have a problem, because when we do backspace, we have a cursor, and then it gets rid of the cursor, and then the character we want to get rid of. So we want to, or backspace, we really want to remove 2 characters. That will remove the cursor and the text that we actually want to remove. And then we want to put the cursor back. Let's check that out. Hello, and then we say delete, go hi. And so now we have a cursor that shows us where we are, at least in entering our text. And let's do a couple of other things. I think I'm going to leave this right here for now. You know, we could, and I'm not so sure that this is warranted right now, but we could add the arrow keys, the up and down arrow keys, so that we could move this cursor around inside of this string, and we could insert things and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think we're going to need that. So I'm not going to do that right now. But what I do want to do is I want to go to our utils Lua file, and I want to grab our button file here, or our button module, and I want to take this mouse inbounds function that I have here, and I want to pull that out of here, and I want to put it in the utils module, because I believe I know this is going to be a useful function for some other things that we have planned. Let me put this in here. So we got u.mouseInbounds. Let's run it real quick and make sure everything still works. Yeah, everything's good. We got again, we have our cursor. Oh, and look what you see this bug. You see, it's setting the focus, and I'm continuing to add that. So I'm glad we caught it. We caught that. So we got if focus, then we set the background color. But we want to check if we're getting focus, and if not, just the opposite of what we did down below there, self.focus. Then we add that cursor to the end. So that way we don't have a bunch of cursors added and we just keep clicking in the box. So let's check that out. Click, 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 click. So, and then you click out and we're all good. Great. So that looks good to me. That looks real good. And like I said, everybody expects a cursor, right? Let's check real quick. I want to do like an underscore and see what that looks like. So yeah, we could do that. So really, you can make the cursor whatever you want and just set the cursor variable right here, and you've got yourself a little cursor that goes along with your text input field. What I think we'll probably do next time is we'll probably come in here and we'll make a new file, and we'll probably call it slider.lua, and we'll probably, and I haven't decided yet, but we will probably, well, we could derive it from the button, but we probably will not. Actually, maybe we'll just go ahead and do this. So then we're gonna make a new slider, and we'll call it local slider. We'll start it. How about that? We'll start it. Slider derived from the class slider, and of course I'm copying and pasting a bunch of code from the button class because it saves time. Okay. So the slider, we want really, well, let's see if we can't get a rectangle down so that we can show where the slider is going to be allowed to go. So let's grab this draw function from the button and we'll repurpose it. And we could just draw a line. not sure what we're going to do there. So the slider is going to be, we'll have an X, a Y, a width, no text, a position, so the width and the height are going to be that. Button colors, don't need any text colors. We call it slider colors. Normal, highlighted, pressed, disabled. Maybe we'll keep these for now. We don't need the text color. And we don't need, what was that? Does anybody remember what that was? I don't remember. Oh yeah, okay. It's just for the button. We don't need that either. I keep the interactable for now, but we'll comment that out. So what we want to do is set the color. We'll have a rectangle. We'll have a self dot. We'll set it so our slider will be the X position of the slider will be the left-hand corner. The Y position will be the center of the slider. So I think hopefully you'll see what I mean here in a minute. And then self.height divided by 2 probably will not be exactly. Let's do divided by 4 here. Width, height, and then let's get rid of this stuff. And let's go into main menu and let me include the slider in our stuff here, and let's add a new slider. Let's do it right here. Self.slider equals slider. Let's put it at an X of, let's say 20, and a Y of, what are we doing here? X, Y, 60. Let's do, let me run this again. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, whoops. Right here. Got to do that. We want to put it down below here, so let's just say something like 100. And then width, let's do 200. Height, let's do 40. Let's see, was that it? I don't remember. Is that all the... X, Y, width, and height. Yeah, yep, that's right. Oh, and we have to return slider. That's why we were having an issue there. And let's add the slider to our entity manager and see what we get. Attempt to call a method update a nil value, of course, because we don't have an update for this. I think we needed an update. We don't need an update, do we? Check that again. $57. Now, I know what it's doing. It's trying to call that update. We don't have an update in. We have one in button. We're not a button. We don't have one in. We do have one in label. I didn't think we had one in TextField though. Yeah, we don't have one in TextField, and yet it's not complaining about TextField. Okay. Well, for now, let me grab that one here in label, and we'll just stick it here because we will use an update function here in a little bit. Oh, of course, yes. Copy and paste. Editor inheritance can give you errors sometimes. Okay, there we go. We have this weird looking thing here, which is not exactly what we want. Really, I want... How do I do that? Oh, right here. We don't want it to be this thick. So let's go down to 5 and see what we get with that. So we're gonna make that. Yeah, see, that's a lot smaller. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of that. And that's not going to be. I'll show you. We're going to have another rectangle. We'll go on top of that. That will be our little slider, thing. Then let's do this. Let's do kind of what we're doing here. Get width divided by 2. So let's put this in the middle. And also do subtract 50 because that's half the width. Actually, the width is 200, so let's subtract that 100, which will be in the middle. And let's pull it down a little bit, 150. Oh, too much, 125. Let's compromise. How about 125? Did I save it? Probably not. There we go. That looks okay. Okay, now let's make the little slider deal. Okay, the actual little slider knob. Okay, so we want a self.knob, or what do I call it? Self.slider position. How about that? Goes vector2 0 0, and that will just be relative to our actual slider position. So whenever we draw it, we'll say the same thing here. It'll be a fill. It'll be a self.position.x plus self.slider.position.x. And really, we really only need an x position for that. So we're just going to do that. We don't need a full x and y position because our slider, at least at this point, it's just going to be horizontal. Now we could make a vertical slider as well. That may be just a separate class. We don't know. We'll try this. We'll see if we can get. We'll see what we can do with this one first. Okay. So I think what we want here really is just self.position.y, and then width, and then self.height, so that we can draw the slider. It actually will be same size. Self.position.x. We can see that is not working out correctly. Fill self width dot height. Did I have like a huge? Maybe not. Do this. Oh, that's what it was. The width is too long. Let's do, say, 20 for now. We'll come back and change that here in a little bit. That's much better. It's not in the right place, but it's much better. Much better. What we need to do is we do need this. We want to put it in the middle also, I believe. Weird. Try this. Yeah. Okay, so what? Oh, sorry about that. That should be set to 0. No wonder it was acting all strange. And then we also want it to be plus. No, it's actually self.height. It's the whole height, of course, I believe. Yes, there we are. That's exactly what I want. You see, now we'll slide back and forth. So we'll need something we'll call value. And the value will be 0. And I haven't yet decided whether or not this value will go between 0 and 100. Whoops. Nice way to spell goes. Or maybe a percentage. Well, that is a percentage. A float percentage as a float number. I'm not sure yet. And then we'll of course also have self dot max. This will probably be an internal thing. Actually, no, we don't need that. It's really the max is going to be the width. So let's check this here. So what we want to do is let's go back to button. I want to steal some of that. We'll do that. And then we'll say get position. Let's grab all this stuff because we're gonna repurpose that stuff right there. So we get position, we left click, which is what we want to do, and we want to know if the mouse is in bounds and inbounds self, mouse inbounds. Go check that. Oh, okay. Self.position.x. Yeah, see, that's a little different than what I want. What I want is, let's say, and actually, we may actually put that back in the button. Mouse in rect. So we'd say mouse X, mouse Y, rect X, rect Y, rect width, rect height. So that would be, this would be this, rect width, and rect X. So, well, we're, instead of having this self, which really doesn't do me much good here unless our self has these exact variables. Maybe I'll leave it, I don't know. But I want to do a more generic version where we have the upper left-hand corner of a rectangle. So that would be Rx, Ry is the upper left corner of the rectangle. And our WRH is the width and height of the rectangle. Oh, yes, of course. So we're going to want to use this function. So slider. So we want to say is mouse in rect, and we have our mouse coordinates first, and really is that's interesting that we have this I think this should be local MX and MY. I'm changing stuff on the button. I don't know if you've noticed this. Let's do that. I'm gonna run this real quick just to see if our okay, we're still good with the buttons. Okay, so yeah, I don't like this. This should really be this should be a local function or local. These two should be local variables. I renamed them to MX and MY to indicate mouse X and mouse Y. Much better. So sort of a tangent there. So back to slider. We'll do the same thing. Local MX MY. So is the mouse in rect, mouse X, mouse Y, and then we have the, what did I say? The rect X, so the left side, which would be self.position.x plus self.slider position. And too bad they're not doing the, okay. And then I guess it would be self.y, right? Yeah, basically what we're saying. Okay, and the width is going to be, we said 20 here, and we may change that. And self.height. Okay, so if it's in the bounds, we need a slider color. Let's do slider color here. Slider color, which really is probably what this whole thing should be. The self.color is, yeah, we'll fix that. Okay, so I want to set this to, let's do that. Let's say self.group. Well, let's do self.color, and instead of that, the self.color will be the slider color, and then we'll call this the groove color, and we'll make it a for now we'll make it a u.gray, make it like a 200 or something, so it's pretty bright, almost like a white, and we'll set that to right here. Let's see if this even runs still. Yeah, so now I have this. This looks better, and let me make this a little bit less of a, let's go down to 128. Okay, now we have a self.color, and that self.color, actually, should that work now? Let's see, mouse over that. Nope, not yet. Okay. We have mouse in rect. If in bounds and not left click, then self.color equals self-highlight. Let's see, we may not do this. Let's comment that out. That was from the button, which we won't be using that. All right, let's check one more time. I want to run this one more time. We should be getting a click. Oh, wait a minute. Ah. Oh, I turned this off. We said we weren't going to use that, but we're actually checking that right here. So that's why it's not even doing the update. So let's run it now. See what happens. Oh, okay. Okay. Utils. So these variables are all fine. So it must be that I'm sending it something wrong with the y value. Oh, of course. Self.position.y. Run it again, see what happens. Still not lighting up like I want it to. Should highlight that. Let's remove this real quick. Save it, run it. Now it's highlighting. It just did. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. It's way over here. So self.position.x plus, and actually that should not make a difference. Let's run this again. It should be 0. And it should, yeah, there it goes. But it's weird. Is that because it's not? Maybe I should add this onto it. Yeah, because we're actually drawing it there. So, but what's weird is, let's see, does this part work right? Not really. That's not right. That is where we're drawing it. And 20 and self.height. Let's check this function again. So if mouse X is greater than or equal to the mouse X is greater than or equal to, you know what we could do, let's just redo this. Return, let's say mouse, let's say how would it not be in the rectangle? That would be if mouse X is less than Rx, or mouse X is greater than Rx plus the width divided by 2, right? Or Ry is less than, or actually My is less than Ry, or My is, I think it's, is that right? Greater than, and actually that wouldn't be that. That would actually be the width, the total width. So My is greater than Ry plus the height. And what we can do is we can put this all in one, and what we want is the not of that. So basically that is, inside of this is, that would be true if it doesn't collide or is not in the rect. Then we just invert that. Now I'm probably wrong. Let's see what happens. No, I'm good. Look at that. Haha, it works. That's exactly what we want, peoples. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. Okay, so that's just more proof to me that I want to put this back. That was really more of a, we may go look at that later, but I'm going to put this back in here. Since I didn't really realize whenever I moved it, it does have self in it. So we're gonna leave it, and we'll do this because that was actually a centered, mouse is in the bounds of that centered area. Really, we may remove this and just use that mouse in rect that we just used right here. But anyway, okay, so that works. Awesome. Our slider is actually in, and it actually lights up. And now what we have to do is, whenever we click it, we want to have it start moving. We want to start moving that self.position and have it follow the mouse, if you will. So we will want a, let's call it a self.lighter x delta, say 0. And so we'll click. If we click it, then let's say if self, if not. So we want to find out if we haven't clicked. And here I go to the parentheses again. If we haven't clicked, then let's say self.lighter x delta equals mx minus actually, let's do this. Let's do it like this. We want to grab the slider position, and then we want to subtract mx from it, so we have a delta. Because then, so we have left click. So left click is down, and I think we want to say There's just different ways to do this. I'm just trying to think about it. Self dot slider position equals a mx b plus the delta. See if I'm doing this right. I think so. I think it would. This is probably going to go wildly out of hand, but didn't work. Still the same. Okay, so what do we want here? We want self.slider x delta. We want to grab the delta between the slider and where the mouse position is. So what we could do, I wonder if, yeah, that's really probably what we need to do. We don't need that extra. Yeah, see, now it works. Sort of. It just needs to keep up with us. And once it goes, and we need to do this here. We say if self.slider position is greater than self.width, then self.slider position equals self.width. Else if self.slider position is less than 0, then self.slider position is going to be equal to 0. And now let's check this real quick. We need to actually, will it go past? No, but we need to say, we need the width of this little slider fella here. We'll say, how about minus? Let's actually bring a, let's have a local variable up here, and let's call it local slider width. That way we can just keep track of it, and we can make this, we can have this either universal or not, but we can change it later. In any case, let's get all of our ducks in a row, if you will. Okay, so now if it's greater than self.width minus the slider width divided by 2, because we don't want it to go right. And if the slider position is less than, see, that one's fine because we're really doing the left hand corner, and actually it wouldn't be divided by 2, it'd be width. And then we would want to say that it equals the slider width. Let's check this. So, and then see, it stops right there. This is exactly what we want. And while we have that, we really need to say that we are moving. There needs to be like a state. Okay. Self.moving, call it self.moving slider equals false. Slider. Okay. So we want, if we're in bounds and we left click, self color pressed. If not, then we get, yeah, and we want to put it in here, I think. So we want to, basically we want to set a flag that says whether we're moving the slider or not. And we'll go ahead and set that in here. So we'll set it here. And I think I want this. And what we want down here we'll have to change this, but let's do if self dot moving slider and left click. Okay, and I keep doing these parentheses. Let's say then end, and we'll have our good movement code in here for our. So that's when we'll do all this yummy stuff, and we'll say here if inbounds and not left click. No, we'll just do it right here. We'll say else if self dot moving slider and not, so we don't have a left click, then self dot moving slider is false, and we'll run that and see what kind of train wrecks we have. So I should be able to go everywhere and any, yes, look at that, see how that works. And if I let go, I'm no longer, oh, that actually worked. Wow, look at that. So we want to make it, we do want to make this highlight. Oh, okay. So self-pressed. So let's just, if we just do this, and then we could say otherwise it's normal, and then we wouldn't need that, and I don't think we'd need that. So we want to keep it highlighted while we're moving it. Highlights, keeps it highlighted, let go. Look at that. It's working, ladies and gentlemen. It's working. It's working. Okay. So now what we should probably do is we need a way to get that value. So let's make a function. Functional slider, and we'll say get value. And we want to return, basically we want to say not sure, is there a way to do that? And well, let's start with the basics here. We want to return our self dot slider position basically divided by self dot width. And that's not completely true, because our slider position will actually be, the maximum will actually be slider.width minus, what did we call it? Slider width. Like this. Yes. Okay, let's do this. Let's say moving slider right here. Let's say print self dot get value. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to turn on debugging and bring the console window over here. So we'll begin to move. Oh no! On the field slider width, attempted to perform arithmetic on slider width. Did I not get it right? Width, and then we, oh yes, that's, look, it's actually slider position. I'm sorry, or I'm not, it's self dot width w, self dot w. Sorry, don't know what happened there. Let's try this again here, and let's begin to move. Uh-oh, there it goes. We get down to 0, and we got all the way up to 1. That's exactly what we want. That's a beautiful thing. But really what we want, do we want it to be a percentage, or I think I would rather it be, and of course you can change this and do whatever you like. I'm going to multiply that by 100. And can we, in Lua, can we like cast it to an integer or something like that? I'm going to bring over my, oops. One moment, please. I'm going to bring over my, I don't have my window open, my browser window. I'm going to open that up and we'll say Lua cast to integer of some sort like that. We want something like that. What do we have here? That's what I want. Math dot. That's what I want. I want math dot floor. Okay. So we could say return math dot floor. That's exactly what I want. Let's see if it is indeed. Come over here. Come on. There it goes. Look at that. Yes, that's what I want. Yes. Beautiful. Okay. That's what I want. So this returns a value between 0 and 100. Okay. And let me remove our print. And one other thing. Let's open this again. Click and move. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. I think we've done some good work here, ladies and gentlemen. What I want to do next time is we will make an event so that it will be on value changed of some sort. So we'll say something along the lines of so if we're moving the slider, left click, then we would probably be in here and we would have some sort of event that would occur. Oops. And it would be something like on slider val. How about we just say on value changed? Yeah. So we could have something like this. What we would do is we would save the previous, I'm thinking off the top of my head here. So we'd say self.previous value. Actually, let's do this. Previous position. Yeah. Previous position. So we could take this and we would come in here and we would say something like previous position equals, it would be up here, wouldn't it? Yeah, right here. Self.slider position. And then we would say if self.slider previous position not equal to self.slider position, then we invoke this event. Let's see what happens here. Print. Oh my. I'm getting ahead of myself, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to do this next time, and I probably still will. We'll finish it next time, but let's see if this works. Click, move. Look at it. It's working. Oh, it's working. Beautiful. Beautiful. Remove the O. Turn off debug mode. Yes, good. Now, let's look real quick at our main menu. And we actually did subscribe to a function. Look, right here. So we could say now G events hook on... let's say on slider changed. I like that better. On slider changed. And we will also unhook that event. We need to have a way to identify this slider. As it is, we don't have a label of any type to tell us what kind of what this slider is. I'm going to make a sort of a text ID. We'll call it a text ID, and we'll say self.id equals text ID, and we'll do you one better. We'll just say ID. That way we can actually figure out which slider it is that we're looking at, and we'll say ID or nothing. Should still work, I think. Yeah. So let's do something like main menu. Where did we make that slider? Right here. And we'll say volume. Oops. Volume. So now we can check and see which slider it is. Let's hook up a little there, right there. So we want a sort of a self dot slider equals function slider. We'll say self dot on slider changed. And remember why we have to do this, since we're basically calling into our little class, which has an implicit self, and when we have the events, we don't have an implicit self. So that's why we're doing this weird looking thing. Slider changed. Okay. So we want to say self.slider change, which will in turn call this on slider change, which does not currently exist, but we're going to make it exist. Function on slider changed slider, just like that. And in here, let's say print slider dot name or ID, and then let's say print slider get value, I think is what was it that I said, right? Let's see if this works. And of course I don't have debugging mode enabled. We'll enable that. I bring me window over here like that, and we'll say click, and there it is. Look at that. So now we have a slider. Isn't that wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? A beautiful slider that now lives in our neighborhood. I hope that this has been quite helpful to you. Oh yes, yes indeed. Helpful indeed. Quite helpful. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys and with a new creation of our lovely brand new slider, and remember the functionality we added to our text field with a nice cursor. And until next time, have a great day, afternoon, evening, or in the middle of the night, whenever you are. Thanks.